knowledge-based economy.
People actually had to adapt.
The people are now seeking for the knowledge.
Right? Identify who you are, what you're passionate about, what your strengths are, and then focus on those.
Sri Lankanization is a concept that tradition meets the innovation, and then you go for the transformation. How this works, how this platform works, how this concept works. Well, when it comes to knowledge, it is one of the most important assets someone can have. Now, the problem nowadays is that is knowledge available everywhere and at any time we want? This has caused a lot of problems, especially people are becoming so restrictive to knowledge because of so many reasons. And today we are going to discuss about how this knowledge can be viralized so that everyone will have this as a weapon. Nelson Mandela once has said, knowledge is the greatest weapon that you can have. But do we have it with us? Do we know how to use it? And is it updated? So today we have this wonderful gentleman who has introduced an amazing concept which is about to release and gonna release across Sri Lanka to make knowledge viral. We have Mr. Zafarullah Hashim. Welcome to SLV Log Podcast, sir.
Thank you, Ravindra. Thank you for having me here.
It's our pleasure. So how's things going with you?
Great. Being
Right.
back in Sri Lanka always is a pleasure.
Right. So to give an introduction about yourself, why don't you give an introduction to all the viewers, sir?
So yeah, I am a Sri Lankan by birth, Sri Lankan on actions, and will always be a Sri Lankan, a proud Sri Lankan. So been in the IT training business for almost 16 years on human capital development, just after my uni from Singapore, and moved back to Sri Lanka with an IT training company in the past and set up the operations in Sri Lanka, working with the Microsoft ecosystem and other vendors as well. Joined the consulting company and SI on the IT tech as well. And then got into the family business of gemstones. Where I was there for about 4 or 5 years before coming back again into the human capital business because that's where my passion lies. Yep. So this is more or less
Right.
who I am.
So gemstone, so you are a gem to Sri Lanka.
I think we're all gems to Sri Lanka. We're a
Correct.
rough stone that needs to be cut and polished.
Correct.
පොඩ්කාස්ටිං වලට උනන්දු දක්වන ඔයාලට මාස්ටර් ක්ලාස් බයි බ්‍රූනෝ දිවාකර දැන් SLOG වෙබ් අඩවියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
So you were talking about gem has to be cut and polished.
Exactly.
I believe knowledge is also
100%.
something like that.
100%. Coming back into the IT industry, training industry from the gemstone business after about 6-year gap, I thought probably things have changed a lot. But then education is the first budget to be cut in most of the organizations.
Yes.
But then people need to realize that, you can't be spoon feeding everyone. You've got a commitment. You've got a role to play as an individual. If you want to go out there and play and fight it out with folks out there, because everyone's indispensable today. Everyone requires to be updated, as you rightly mentioned. And you got to go seek knowledge. My dad used to always say that education is what remains after everything else is forgotten. And that's a vital, very important.
Yes. So when it comes to certain economies, now we are leading into knowledge-based economies, Saf.
100%.
And I'll be calling you Saf from here onwards.
Please.
So what do you see as knowledge-based economy?
Well, how I look at it is COVID was an eye-opener, right, for all of us, where people had to move on to shift on to remote working, right, and people actually had to adapt. And prior to that, that was a change that was really difficult because organizations were actually trying to reduce their costs by giving people to be able to remotely work as well as. But then COVID had pushed them through. So today, I would say the global scale has become very localized because there's so much of remote jobs available. People are moving on to it. And you are able to work around the world, but being in wherever you are. So knowledge-based economy for especially a country like Sri Lanka, right? We need to be focused on educating them, giving them those innovative ideas, how to look at it, things, what are the perspectives of the global reach and global exposure, which is available out there, where you can be a part of it as well. So that is what is needed. I think education is key, skill development, upskilling, being alert with the new trending technologies, and building up your own entrepreneurship mindset. It's not only tech, but also driving the power skills or soft skills, which was known as well, because it's very relevant on how you can position yourself and sell yourself today.
Right. So, when you were speaking about this, the word that you use, upskilling, Saf, I believe in a country like us, in Sri Lanka, that this whole update of knowledge is very slow, right? Where that, as you correctly said, you mentioned that a lot of people think still in our country that knowledge is something that has to be spoon-fed, right?
Correct.
Where the people are now seeking for the knowledge, looking for the knowledge, and then going there and collecting it. How do you think all about that when it comes to this? After COVID, you said like everything is now remote and you can actually approach to any knowledge that you want, even in your work as well.
100%.
Could you please explain me how the difference between digitizing and digitalizing, how do you see that difference?
Exactly, right. This is something that I was actually thinking on the same lines. We've digitized, right? We've digitized a lot of things. People, we adapt to new technologies as Sri Lankans, right? We look at the larger corporates and organizations. But have we digitalized ourselves? Because there's so much, right? I would say that we do not know so much that we do not know that we do not know. And today, with technology moving up so rapidly and so fast, people are trying to gather everything and be a part of everything. No, you don't really need to have to do that, right? Identify who you are, what you're passionate about, what your strengths are, and then focus on those and start building. Today, being a jack of all trades is pretty tough. Right, but it's good to have knowledge across all, because today, even if you get onto ChatGPT, they're looking for smart workers, people who ask those right questions. That's why I still say that the senior citizens have got their place back today, which they lost to the IT community in the past for the youth, right? Because today you've got an assistant by your side or a co-pilot that you have, and all you need is people who can ask those right questions, smart, creative, analytical thinking. Got to have a lot of emotional intelligence, as well as you got to be able to be very fluid in all those that is happening today, because the trends are changing so rapidly, right? And you should be able to identify the problem, provide a solution that will create an impact.
Correct.
පොඩ්කාස්ටිං වලට උනන්දු දක්වන ඔයාලට මාස්ටර් ක්ලාස් by බ්‍රූනෝ තිවාකර දැන් SLOC වෙබ් අඩවියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
When you said about this whole upskilling, and also now adults are also getting back into this whole society, because I believe that we should not discount the amount of impact the older generation have done to us,
Very much.
right? So with the technology, as you correctly said, the people started to think this is gonna be a barrier for us, that we cannot connect with the younger generation. Now with the innovation of AI and all these tools, they can actually feel also relevant.
Very much.
Which one of the stories that I remember, that the story of two woodcutters. They say there's one woodcutter who take his axe and keep cutting the tree again and again but get tired for 1 hour. And there is another woodcutter who would sharpen his axe for 45 minutes and finish the job within 15 minutes.
Exactly.
That is the whole concept of upskilling
100%,
stuff.
100%. Right. It's very much.
So you were talking about whole digitalizing and AI. Since we are speaking about the knowledge, sir, how you as an organization, as a person, is going to help our country with this whole upskilling of technology and digitalization?
Yeah, so Trainocate, so I'm the managing director for Trainocate Lanka and Trainocate Gulf as well, overlooking the Europe. So I moved to UAE 2 years ago, and having served 2 years in Sri Lanka with Trainocate itself, training the corporates, the partners, the system integrators, so on and so forth. And when I went over to UAE, I saw so much of opportunities, right? And looking back, I was like, what can I do in order to provide my countrymen the opportunity for global expansion? Because I'm a guy who loves to fish with the net instead of the rod, right? Because if someone has already done something and made the infrastructure, why do I need to go reinvent the wheel? So with that in place, last year at the GITEX Expand North Star, we took some of the Sri Lankan organizations who had built some amazing international standard solutions, connected them with the distribution channel, the partners, and the IT tech community out there, so that they get a better global expansion reach. So instead of they going and building it, they start working around it. So with this demand, so how I look at it is UAE or the Middle Eastern region, the Gulf is more of a demand market.
Okay.
And we are a more supply market. So if we can actually create a brand for ourselves, because today Sri Lanka as a branding Gulf is not for tech. It's not for skilled labor as much, right? But we do have some amazing skilled individuals out there, right? But we do not have the brand as a tech hub or something that our neighbors and all of them have. So how do we build that? It was my question. So that is where we as a human capital development company, we are authorized training partners for almost 30 plus vendors like Microsoft, AWS, Google, Oracle, Cisco, you name it. So what we need to do is to start manufacturing them, right? It's not only upskilling, but also reskilling them, as well as existing skilling the individual, because there's a massive gap between the academia and what the industry requires. So what's needed is we are running a bridging program with a couple of universities and campuses.
Okay.
So BCAS was one of the first who came on board, and they are embedding the fundamentals of data, AI, security, cloud to modern work, and modern work and business applications as well into their curriculum. Right. And last week on Saturday, we just, day before yesterday, we launched it at the Batticlo campus, which inaugurated, and nearly about 20,000 people actually attended. And their target is in the next 3 years to have 10,000 students in their campus. It's a massive campus, and President, His Excellency, was the one who inaugurated it as well.
Okay.
So we call this entire program that we drive called Sri Lankanization or Sri Lankikarne. Right. So I'm still learning the Tamil word. Very soon I'll come out with it as well. But nevertheless, Sri Lankanization is about self-realization, identifying your passion, your strength. Right, just because the other individual next to you is doing something good today, as you said, the woodcutter story, it might not be the sharp axe that he's using. So how do we actually identify yourself, and then whatever that you're doing? So it's basically where traditions meet innovation. Right, you can be selling coconuts or whatever, but how do you actually use tech to make it fast track yourself? So if individually everybody can start using the tech mindset. So today tech is not a buzzword or a fearful word, but people are still scared. Right, when you say IT, it's not for me. No. Today, all you imagine, whatever that you imagine can be brought in alive. And if somebody can do it, you can do it. If nobody can do it, you got to try and do it.
Yes.
Right? This is the mindset. I think people's mindset needs to be changed, and for that we need a bit of support. Everyone needs to be guided. And as an organization, as an individual, my ultimate goal is to be able to live, give, and grow. Right, that's very relevant because we need to be able to share that peer-to-peer knowledge share, which will create not only a knowledge economy but a sustainable knowledge economy, right? Driving and supporting one another.
Right. So basically, Sri Lankanization is a concept that tradition meets the innovation. And then you go for the transformation.
Exactly.
Right.
100%.
So that was very interesting, Zaf, that you told that the Gulf, they have the requirement, but as of now, they do not consider Sri Lanka as a provider in tech.
Exactly.
Which actually sometimes pathetic to hear that are we still providing labors?
I didn't want to say that, Ravi, but actually what happened a couple of times is when I go meet up the C-level, we got these meetings and we have good meetings, and the guys are like, so Zaf, where are you from? Right? And when I say I'm from Sri Lanka, the next thing, oh really, my driver is a Sri Lankan, my maid is a Sri Lankan, my nanny is a Sri Lankan, right? I want to change that. That's when I actually thought, no, I need to change that. Because as individuals, if we can contribute towards this, right, towards supporting the economy, I think we are all going to be growing.
True.
Right? Nobody lost by giving, have they?
Correct. And the concept that you have, live, give, and grow.
That's my school motto, by the way.
Right. Interesting.
We didn't realize at that time, but today it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. But they say, like, we should age like fine wine, and the knowledge sometimes comes later.
You learn every day.
Realization game comes later.
Correct. It's all experiences in life. If you watch Slumdog Millionaire, he never answered based on the questions that he knew. Right? It was different other walks of life or experience or what he's been exposed to, which actually made him think of the answers as well.
Correct. So it's all about now, as you said, tradition meets the innovation, and that's going to be the transformation. Exactly. How this works, how this platform works, how this concept works, can you please explain?
So we've actually created a learning platform.
Okay.
Right? And currently it's mostly on Microsoft and business productivity skills, soft skills, and leadership qualities, HR enablement, and also security awareness is. So how it works is for us to, one size does not fit all. So we've actually created this platform which is accessible and affordable for everyone. So for a mere 7,500 rupees, you got a 1 year worth of subscription where you have more than 100 plus certificates that you can earn, which you will not be able to complete in a year. Right? But you don't need to know everything and you don't need to do everything. So once you come on board, you identify what are those, your day-to-day modern work. What do you actually do? Do you actually need Word, maybe to draft a document, right? Do you want to know Excel, right? Or do you want to create some presentations? You want to know PowerPoint? Are you using the email? You want to learn about Outlook, the security measures? But these, whether you run a business or whether you are also looking out for a job out there, got all the tools that is available out there. So Microsoft 365 license has so many applications.
Right.
Some applications we don't even know that existed, which we pay for, right? But this learning platform gives you education and skilling on everything. And these are very bite-sized kind of programs, which are like 1, 2, 3 minute, 4 minute kind of videos with demos.
Okay.
Right? Which is like every lesson that you learn is a new skill that you're gaining.
Okay.
Right? And at the end of every section, you got a quiz that you can actually answer. So it's gamified in a way.
Okay.
Then you got dashboards where you can identify the top learners if it is an organization or corporate or a set of students. Right? So because it's not just educating, but you also need to assess them. There need to be checkpoints. Identify where their weakness. If that is not their line, then we need to be able to change it accordingly. So this basically allows all of that in one platform.
Right.
So our target by the end of this year to be able to train 10,000 people on awareness of what data is, what AI is, and why security is important as well. Because we are getting into the tech world, there's a lot of things happening.
Correct.
The machine is learning while we talk today.
Correct.
Right? There's a lot of machines that are learning and they're going to be very powerful. So if you are not powerful as much or as where you could understand these, I think you will not be able to even draw your line where you need to be. Because the moment you get into that, your information needs to be protected, right? Your privacy and so on and so forth. There's a lot that needs to be learned. And today we have so much of data out here which are unutilized.
Yeah.
Right? They're still in papers and it's just in papers and documents, right? But you can actually utilize these data to fast track your business growth, to get more insights, and to even support on your mental well-being, because today you do not have visibility of most of your stuff, which is creating a lot of, you can't even sleep in the night because you're thinking of it. But if you actually start cleaning them, identifying what is your real requirement, then you can start focusing on what you really have to and leave aside the rest.
Right. So, when you said Microsoft 365, actually, when you actually said it only, I got my realization that I only use Word, PowerPoint, or maybe Excel. That's the maximum that I'll be using. But there are enough and more tools
There's a lot more.
that can basically simplify our life.
Your to-do list. Every day in the morning you could check on your TDL, right? Your to-do list, your planners, everything. There's so much.
That actually gave me the realization. I feel a bit happy that I am a real Sri Lankan, which we still do not have that awareness of technology that much as well. But Saf, the point that you tried to insist was that upskilling plus reskilling. Sometimes we think that we already know.
Exactly.
As you correctly said at the beginning of this, is that we don't know that.
We do not know so much that we do not know that we do not know.
That's hitting the head right away. So reskilling in terms of, so now these platforms you said basically we are going to focus on these skills as well, plus data, AI and security. Why do you think that people need to have this awareness? Let's keep away the knowledge a bit. Why do you think that everyone, as a country, as a nation, that we should have that awareness of AI and also data security? Why we need to have that need?
So AI will not work without data, right? Because you need so much of data that will convert into this AI. Now, if you actually take ChatGPT, for instance, there's so much of data that is being input, right? Where the machine keeps learning and then coming out with outputs. And today, I'm telling you, there are jobs available that pays you more than $2,500 per month, where you can remotely work and you are training the AI models, right? So if you've used ChatGPT, certain responses are not very clear or not the right ones. So there are people who actually take these responses from people, because sometimes they say, no, this is not what I asked. So this triggers out on the back end, and there are people that trains. And today there's so many people who are being hired. And it's a shame to say that one of these organizations that I looked up to, Sri Lanka goes as a no-sourcing country.
Sorry,
Sri Lanka goes as a no-sourcing country for this particular job role from this particular company.
All right.
Right? Because we had a lot of issues. We had, the fuel crisis. There was power shortage. So it's unpredictable. So when you are unpredictable, organizations are not going to put in their money out there. Right? So there needs to be a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built. But that's on a side. But as an individual, we need to be able to drive ourselves until everything else will fall into place.
Right.
So upskilling, reskilling, and also awareness of what's happening out there is very much important. And data, as I coming back, without data, AI is not going to work. And the moment you have an AI model that's working, you need to also look into the security aspects of it. Because the moment, I mean, imagine AI turns rogue one day. Right? It's gonna. I mean, I'm looking at things in a very. I mean, going into the extreme. Sometimes I'm wondering, because COVID was unexpected.
Correct.
Imagine something like that. It could happen. Whatever could.
Yes.
So I think people need to. So that's where soft skills, power skills, and also controlling ourselves, our emotions, is very important. Because end of the day, you got to be happy. You got to be content, and less disappointed in life, right? So yeah, very, very relevant. I mean, today's world, I think you need to have this awareness because let's say, for example, so during COVID, there was a time where moving from the gym business to train a kid, right? Itself, I went online. I checked what are the available, what can I do end of the day? I'm stuck at home. I can't go out. So fortunately, I got a pass, the delivery pass from one of my friends. So he used to supply all these dessert ingredients to pastry sheets to all of these food items to the most of these hotels.
Right.
I said, buddy, why don't we try and sell it retail? So we made some posters, put it up on Facebook, Instagram, and started selling them and also delivering these stuff. Right. And today and there was also these two girls who used to send me kotamba, right? From Nikavarati. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So kotamba, I think recently I asked people, do you know what kotamba is? We were not sure what it was.
Okay.
Right. So I actually got myself a sample of a 1 kg pack, and that was like a lot. Right? It was a lot because it's not that heavy.
Yes.
And I broke it down into like 250 packs, and I tried selling it. And I called them Sri Lankan almonds.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So in Maldives, there was this guy who actually bought it in Maldives. He crushed them and he puts it on top of the cake, and he even makes a paste out of it.
Yes.
Right? So I was thinking, I've actually lost contact with those guys. I don't know where they are. I don't have their contact.
Okay.
But there are people who actually do this. What if I can teach them to set up an Instagram page, right? Keep and take a picture on the kotamba leaf, right? With those.
Yes.
And go on ChatGPT. If you don't know English, type it in Sinhalese, what you want to say.
Okay.
Translate that caption into English. Post it up. If I can teach these people that, you think we can't fast track them?
That's true.
Right? You take teachers, for instance, in schools. If we can actually start teaching them the new technology and how to work on it, there's so many tools that they can actually teach back their students to make their education system to be current.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So there's a lot that needs to be done. And I can't do it alone.
Yes.
Train a kid that can't do it alone. Right? So collaboration is key. Collaboration, today we see collaboration happening in larger corporations. But then when it comes to the low level and mid level, we are like crabs. Right? Trying to pull one another down. No. Today I can't do everything. You can't do everything. Right? You are all specialized in some area. So that's where collaboration comes into play, where we can give a holistic approach, a solution to people.
Right.
And
So, to add what you said, I believe that your whole this Sri Lankanization concept is, let's say, like this. It's tradition meets innovation, and innovation meets collaboration, and it leads to the transformation. Where that you correctly see this whole Kotamba story and this how this girl now vanished. Maybe if there was this whole knowledge about and also awareness about this using AIs, as you correctly said, like how I know there are people who just give marketing plans, giving just prompting AI, and it can do it. Plus. Prompting itself is prompting is a science now, and there are trainers now who trains how to write a proper prompt. If I am correct, Saf.
There are trainers who there's so many contents out of it built by AI itself. Right? And then there are job roles today, prompt engineers, right? So I mean, today when you actually take marketing material, we recently did a, what do you call, an awareness session to one of the large telcos here as well.
Right.
On how actually you can use AI in your day-to-day activities. You can be a frontliner, you can be an operational staff, sales staff, or a marketeer. How do you actually start using these different tools?
And Saf, the another thing is, knowledge is now everywhere, but how to utilize is a problem, as you said. Plus, when it comes to Sri Lankan education system as well, that we are still outdated, that we can use these tools by giving awareness to the teachers and also students. So the speed of us going to the world will be 2x, 3x, 4x.
100%.
And I've seen that there's a quote called fail fast and learn fast. When you have these kind of tools, you can know what went wrong.
Exactly.
Right? Instead of like waiting the teacher to come and teach you, this is what went wrong. So, Saf, my one last question for you is that, do you think, a lot of people say, learning about this AI, data, and data science and security, will all these lead to the loss of jobs? Because a lot of people have this argument, right? AI will take over everything. That is why the whole security concept also come. Can you please reassure us, as you said, the reskilling, why this is not a threat? AI is not a threat. Learning data is not a threat. It's actually another gateway for us to learn and upskill ourselves.
Why it's not a threat? No, it is a threat. It's going to take away your jobs. Right? It's going to take away your jobs. It's going to be a threat and everything. So, yes, AI is going to basically, how do I put it? AI is not going to take away your jobs, but a person with AI tools and AI skilling and AI understanding is going to take away your jobs, because it's basically between, a skilled individual and a non-skilled individual who will be able to do it faster.
Right.
The same job role.
Correct.
So it's a threatening in the sense we've gone through a lot of changes and innovations and revolutionary change, and this is one of it. Right. So you can't be scared being in a corner crying about it. That's not going to help anyone know you. So you got to do what you got to do. Right? And end of the day, it's a challenge. You got to overcome challenges. So there's two kind of people, some who actually take risks, some who don't take risks. So you got to make those right calls and talk to people. So this is another problem Sri Lanka is having. Today, who are we to go and look up to? Because of the brain drain challenge we have. We've lost a lot of intellectual people out there. Right? I feel sorry for the youth, right? Today, we had a lot of people that we could look up to, go meet, because this is something that I used to do like a hobby. Every day go and meet someone, intellectual, someone who's much more skilled, someone who's much more exposed, right? Try and meet a lot of people and understand. But today we are having that difficulty, right? Because the technology changes so fast as well. You need this intellectual people, a combination of this technology to actually give that output as well. So people with both of this is very limited to find. And so sometimes another thing that my dad used to say, in the land of blind men, the one-eyed is the king.
That's profound.
Right? So, you got to call a spade, but end of the day, I think it's time we all join hands together and see what we can do to the ones we are able to do. Because when you have no control over certain things, it's no use you shedding your tears and dying over it. Right? You rather do something that you can actually make a difference and put your effort and energy into that.
Correct. Right. Saf, what a profound quote that your father has given. In the land of blind men, one-eyed
the one-eyed is the king.
He's the king. Where that you correctly said, Saf, a lot of people have this misconception that technology will take over us our jobs. No, you redefined it saying
A person
it's the person who has the knowledge about the technology will take over you.
Exactly.
So what you have to do is not staying blind and try to open your eyes
100%.
so that you can also see the world is big and the opportunities.
Exactly.
So it's all about live, give, and grow. That's your concept.
100%.
So whoever who watching this one, we need to understand the fact that one person cannot do a change, but one person can lead to do a change. And then only we gather together and make it a reality. Well, in a time that knowledge is the weapon and the technology is the transport system for everything, I would say that we as a nation, it's high time to upskill ourselves and also reskill ourselves. Get to know about your technology, get to know what are the new trends, fail fast, learn fast. As Sri Lankans, let us not be labeled as the people who just provide labor when there is a huge necessity over there that we can be tech providers and be giants like our neighbor country as well, Saf.
Exactly.
So let's bring our tradition into innovation, into great collaborations, and come to a great transformation. That is Sri Lankanization, and that is us who we are for this. Thank you so much, sir, for this, and we wish you all the very best, and let's keep collaborating as well.
Thank you, Ravindu. This is a really great pleasure, and Trainocate is here to support, to guide, to mentor, as well as to collaborate with other partners who are best fit with you. So, to all the viewers, all the listeners, do reach out to us, and we are here to support you. If you're not sure, if you are sure, or if you can be a volunteer with something to teach another peer, or you have a concept that you really want to drive, I think this is the platform that we want to build, a community that is built for the community, which is run by the community.
Amazing.
So that way it becomes more sustainable. So Sri Lankanization, yes, as you said, you need one individual or one organization to lead towards the betterment. And that's what Sri Lankanization is about. But Sri Lankanization is about these 22 million people all put together, helping one another to grow and fast track ourselves using technology.
Correct.
So thank you, Ravindu. It's
Our
really
pleasure, sir.
heartwarming to be here and to be able to speak. And you guys are doing an amazing job as SLV Logs. All the best to you all.
Thank
as
you
well.
so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
ලිෆ්ට් එකට ගිහින් ඉවරලා මට කනට කරලා කිව්වා ෆින්ගර්ප්‍රින්ට් එක 100% පැලි ඊයේ ඇරියා නම් කෙලිය නේද කියලා. අපිට එතකොට DNA වාර්තා ඇවිල්ලා තිබුණේ නැහැ. ඒ බ්ලඩ් ප්‍රින්ට් එකක් තිබුණේ ඒ ගෑවුනේ කොහොමද තමුගේ ෆින්ගර්ප්‍රින්ට් එකේ කියලා ප්‍රශ්න කරා.